They say a conference table is just wood and metal. For me, it was 43 years of my life. The mediator's pen stopped. My brother's smile finally slipped. First time in 6 months. That morning started like every morning of this endless process. Stale coffee, sleepless eyes, and the low-ceiling hum of a downtown office where families come to fall apart politely. I'm David Morrison. I build things. At 21, I believed that hard work and family loyalty were the same currency. In 1982, my dad handed me an $8,000 check and a look that said, "Go make something." I bought second-hand tools, rented a drafty shop, and worked until my hands looked older than my face. I called it Morrison Custom Carpentry. By the time my younger brother Marcus finished his first degree, I had 3 employees. By his PhD, I had 40-plus employees, a showroom and a reputation worth more than any certificate on a wall. Marcus taught economics. Smart, disciplined, meticulous with theory. He could price elasticity a loaf of bread, while I was sanding walnut till it gleamed like a piano. Holiday dinners were fine. Dad bragged about his professor's son and his entrepreneur son. I learned to smile when the copies of Marcus's academic journals lived on Dad's desk longer than my small business award did. No resentment, just an understanding. Some work leaves ink on paper. Some leaves sawdust in your lungs. Then life did what it does. Mom's memory frayed and kept fraying. Dad wore himself down taking care of her. And in 2022, his heart said enough. We buried him quietly. Marcus flew in, said the right words, flew out. 6 months later, my phone rang while I was in the truck heading home after a site visit. "David," Marcus said. Voice level, "We need to talk about the business." I thought it was about Mom's care invoices. "It wasn't," Dad promised, he said. "Half?" He told me many times the business was for both of us. It's time to make it formal. I pulled into a Tim Hortons and stared at my steering wheel like it could translate. Half of what I'd built since '82? He was serious. He talked about balancing our lives, about the professor salary versus the contractor's draw. He gave me an ultimatum. Sign papers making us 50-50 partners, or he'd sue based on Dad's verbal promise. He sued. The claim was 93 pages of photographs, dates, and a version of our life where I was the older brother who cornered resources and locked a brilliant academic out of the family legacy. It cited Christmas 2015, Thanksgiving 2018, Dad's 70th in 2019, private moments where Dad allegedly told Marcus crystal clear. "The business is for both my boys. I hired Patricia Wong, sharp, dry, the kind of litigator who files her nails with the other side's arguments. She explained the law. A verbal promise can sometimes bite if you can prove it was meant as a binding commitment and somebody relied on it. Promissory estoppel. Fancy words for you said it. I trusted you. Now pay up." We would go to mandatory mediation first. The mediator, Diane Chen, had the calm of a winter lake. She opened with all the right sentences about finding common ground. Then she looked at me with that soft sympathy reserved for the person who's being unreasonable without meaning to. Marcus started. He was gracious, professorial. He didn't want conflict. He respected my management. He only wanted what Dad intended, half the ownership. He'd take distributions and stay out of daily operations. A silent partner in the business he'd never visited. Patricia said what I couldn't say without shouting, "You're asking for $400,000 a year for doing nothing." The first session ended in a civilized stalemate. The second was worse. Phrases like family promises, moral inheritance, your father's wishes. I left feeling like a villain in my own shop. Sleep stopped visiting. I chased documents instead. The original $8,000 check from Dad, October 1982. Loans in my name. Registrations, taxes, a paper trail that smelled of toner and coffee. In a box of old cards I found a letter. 2010. Dad's handwriting, heavy, earnest. "Proud of what you've built, son. You took my $8,000 and turned it into something remarkable. That's all you, your vision, your sweat, your success." I read it 5 times. Then a 6th, "Your success. Not ours, session 3, mid-December." Snow hissed under tires. I placed Dad's letter on the table. The mediator read the key lines, pursed her lips, and said something about views changing over time. Marcus didn't blink. His lawyer did. Patricia cleared her throat and slid a thicker folder across. "We subpoenaed your father's medical records," she said quietly. From Dr. Robert Chen, the dates matter. Silence has different flavors. This one tasted metallic. Mr. Morrison was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's in November 2014, Patricia read. Cognitive decline noted as early as 2013. Advisement to family. Document major decisions. Patient may confuse or repeat statements. She turned pages. December 2015. Increased confusion and short-term memory loss. October 2018. Minor stroke. Episodes of disorientation and confabulation. February 2019. Moderate Alzheimer's. Not to make legal or financial decisions without oversight. Marcus's face went white. He whispered, "Mom had Alzheimer's." "Not Dad." I remembered the appointment. I had gone with Dad. Early stages, good days and bad, the doctor had said. We didn't make announcements. We adapted because that's what you do. Patricia kept her voice even. Even if something was said in those years, it cannot form a binding legal promise. And before the diagnosis? We have Dad's 2010 letter, very clearly describing the business as David's creation. The mediator sat back, expression changed. This significantly alters my analysis. Richard, my brother's lawyer, shuffled papers. Their diagnosis doesn't erase a person's intent. It does, Patricia said, erase the legal capacity to create obligations in the window he's relying on. I looked at Marcus. For the first time in months, I didn't see an adversary. I saw my kid brother in a borrowed suit, standing in Dad's old winter coat. Did you hear what you wanted to hear? I asked not unkindly. He said it, Marcus breathed. Every holiday. He'd put a hand on my shoulder and say, "Don't worry, the business is for both my boys." It felt like he meant it. "I believe he said something," I said, "and I believe you believed him." But he was sick, Marcus. Memory mixes with wish when the brain is failing. That isn't a contract. It's comfort. We took a break. The room deflated like a lung. Across the street, Patricia and I stared into bitter coffee. I should have told him straight about Dad's diagnosis, I said. I assumed he knew. Maybe he didn't want to know. We went back. Marcus's lawyer proposed a moral settlement, $500,000 for family legacy and seed capital. I felt something hot climb my throat. Patricia scoffed. The mediator started to suggest a symbolic gesture. I said one word, no. I put my phone on the table, opened my banking app, and for once in my life, kept a ledger out loud. Mom's Care 2019 to now, $446,400. I paid $400,000. You paid $36,000. Your second master's in the 90s when funding fell through, I loaned you $18,000. You repaid $5,000. 2008 between academic posts. You needed $12,000 to keep the house. 2015 another $6,000 for the car down payment. 2020 COVID pay cut. I sent you $1,500 a month for 8 months. I put the phone down. We don't keep score in families until we have to defend ourselves. I've given you over $450,000 in 30 years. Quietly, because that's what brothers do. And you sued me for half my life's work because Dad, while ill, said some comforting words. No one spoke. The noise outside the windows felt like weather on Mars. Richard stood. We're done here. Patricia didn't blink. Proceed to trial and you'll lose, and you'll pay our fees. You know it. Marcus didn't look at his lawyer. He looked at me. He was just small, human. I'm sorry, he said. I wanted Dad's words to be a bridge. I made them a weapon. Withdraw the lawsuit. He walked out. The mediator apologized for her early lean. Patricia called it a clean win. I nodded because there wasn't a name for what it actually felt like. Winning can be a lonely room. Weeks went by. No card from Marcus at Christmas. I sent one anyway. In January, a letter came in his tight academic print. He had started therapy. He'd spoken to mediators about how grief twists memory. He admitted he built a story where he mattered to my success because he didn't feel he mattered in the family. In the same way I did. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He acknowledged he might not deserve it. 2 months later, the care home called. Mom had slipped quietly away at dawn. I phoned Marcus. No argument about who should do what. We divided tasks, efficient as a project plan. We stood shoulder to shoulder at the funeral. When his shoulders shook, I put my hand where Dad used to put his, right at the blade, steadying. We didn't talk about the lawsuit. The silence felt like a negotiated border. respectful, temporary. A week after we buried Mom beside Dad, Marcus asked to meet for coffee. Same chain where I'd sat after his first ultimatum. Different weather inside me. He didn't waste time. I was jealous, he said. I was the smart one, and still, nothing I built felt like it would outlast me. You left more than invoices. You left a company, livelihoods, cabinets that will be opened 10 times a day for 20 years. He swallowed. I wanted to belong to that legacy. I grabbed the wrong way. Maybe not wrong, I said. Just late. And hurt. Can we start over, he asked. Not pretend it didn't happen, just start building something better than this version of us? I don't know if I can go back, I said. But forward. Maybe. We talked for 2 hours about Dad's letter, Mum's laugh, the employees who stuck with me through 08 and 20, his students who write to him 5 years after graduation. At the door, we weren't brothers from before. We were brothers from now. It was enough for a next step. Spring softened the city. One morning I called him with a proposal he didn't expect. I'm 64, I said. My hands still know the work, but my knees don't love stairs. I'll sell shares to my senior managers over 5 years and retire. Before that, I want to set up a scholarship, trade students who want to start a shop. We'll seed it with 100,000, name it after Dad. Will you help me administer it from the university side? He went quiet. Then, I'd be honored. One condition, I said. Come to the workshop. Meet the people you almost became a silent partner to. He came on a Tuesday. I walked him past the planer and the clamp wall, through the spray booth, into the showroom where cherry and oak made the morning light look expensive. He shook hands with the foreman who's been with me 20 years, with the apprentice who reminds me of me. He watched a door leaf bloom out of rough boards and glue and patience. I didn't understand, he said finally. This isn't just a business. It's community. It's time made solid. We launched the Harold Morrison Memorial Scholarship that summer. A young woman from Grande Prairie became the first recipient, a straight-A kid who loves dovetails and spreadsheets equally. On stage, Marcus spoke about dignity in skilled work. I spoke about how one check in 1982 can become a lifetime if you show up every day you say you will. Afterward, we stood together for photos. Not the brothers we were, the brothers we are. People ask me what I learned. I keep Dad's 2010 letter in my desk drawer for the days I forget. Your vision, your sweat, your success. Here's the rest. I learned that documentation beats memory. Love your family, but write things down. We all deserve clarity when grief scrambles the signal. I learned that promises given in kindness aren't always promises that bind. Sometimes, a father touches a son's shoulder and says, "Don't worry," and what he means is, "I love you, not call my lawyer." I learned that forgiveness is not amnesia. I forgave my brother for being human. I did not erase the sleepless nights or the 87,000 in legal fees. Both truths live in the same house, and I learned that family business is a phrase with 2 meanings. One is money. The other is what we decide to build together after the money tries to tear us apart. In 2030, my managers will own Morrison Custom Carpentry. The logo will stay. The hands will change. I'll take Jennifer to see the cities we promised ourselves we'd see when the orders finally slowed. We'll visit clients who still close their pantry doors like they're greeting an old friend. Marcus and I talk every couple of weeks. We have dinner once a month. We argue about university bureaucracy and cabinet hinge suppliers. We visit our parents' graves on Mum's birthday and leave fresh flowers and the first scholarship brochure on Dad's stone. I don't pretend the wound isn't there. I don't pick at it either. Scar tissue is still tissue, it holds. If you're listening to this at your own conference table, if your sibling is across from you with a lawyer and a file full of promises, take this from an old carpenter. Measure twice, cut once, and keep the warranty. The work you did, showing up, paying bills, caring for parents, paying for degrees and down payments when the world fell apart, counts. The paper you sign, or don't, counts more. And if there's a letter in a box somewhere with someone, you loved telling you what was true long before the fights began. Keep it. You'll need it on the hard days. I'm David Morrison. I built a business, buried my parents, almost lost my brother, and learned that the straightest line through a knot is patience, not force. That's enough for me.